back to my podcast. I'm Dolapo Thomas, and you are listening to Dolapo's Digest. So, before starting this episode, I really want to say thank you to everyone who has been tuning in, listening to all my episodes, giving me great feedback. I really, really appreciate it. And let me just say, please go look at me on all platforms. If you're listening on Spotify, please give me 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, comment, like, whatever you need to do. Anyway, this episode is a very exciting one, so I really hope you guys enjoy it. And today I have a very special guest. So, introduce yourself, tell us your name, grade, what position you play in football, because this is an interview about your commitment to Georgia Tech.
Well, if you don't know me already, my name is Uche. What?
Nothing. Nothing. Go ahead.
Right. Well, if you don't know me already, my name is Uche Iloh. I'm a senior. I'm 17 years old. I go to McIntosh High School. I play defensive end, and I just committed to Georgia Tech last week. And I just signed to Georgia Tech 2 days ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. So how did we meet each other?
Me and you?
Yeah, I think
it was really through track.
Yeah.
Like I knew of you before, but
Yeah.
like we didn't really talk to each other until track season last year started.
Yeah, because Uche was our he was our track, what was it? Manager. Like he had to take attendance for like what was it? Like what was it?
It was like attendance, like for the people that showed up to practice.
Yeah.
Had me grabbing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it was a fun time because I really enjoyed track my senior year, and I think you played a big role in that because you were always like lively to have at the meets and things like that. Okay, so getting into the interview, really. So you played other sports throughout high school, and I loved watching you play basketball. Why did you choose football or American football out of like every other sport that you participated in, and what sports did you like play?
I mean, I felt like the reason why football really stood out, like other than all the other sports I played, was because I was having a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love basketball. I love playing basketball, but like I felt like as I kept playing football, I kept growing love for the sport, and I was very like unmatched compared to all the other sports.
Like, what made you like? Was it like team energy? Was it the coach that played a big role? Because I know oftentimes people quit the sports that they like enjoy because the coaches are like they make them like have a hate for the sport, if that makes sense.
Right.
So what kept like drawing you to play football?
I mean, really just Coach Smith coming to our school. I remember I first started playing football when I was a sophomore, and that was when we had our old coach, but then I was about to quit because we weren't playing good and I didn't really enjoy it. Coach Smith came and he helped us out. He convinced me again to play, and I was like I'm about to buy into this guy. Hopefully it works out, and it did.
Yeah.
Really just him being there really helped me out.
Yeah.
And really just the team, just like team chemistry and team energy. It really made me like want to be a part of it because we were all just one big family.
Right. And like they often say like football is like a kind of family, and it's different from like any other sport. Because I know like our track coach Dadler, he talked about, he was like the bond that he has with the football like people are different than like with track and things like that. Why do you think that? Is this because it's such a like physical sport, or what makes it, do you think? Like,
I think really just like the physicality, but one thing that like plays an important role is that like we're gonna see each other every single day. We're all gonna go to practice every single day. We're gonna put the same pads on every single day. We're all gonna put cleats on. So it's like we're gonna see each other every day, and us just being there, being together. It really just brought us like it helps bring everybody together.
Yeah.
To become like one big family, like I said.
So like when did you guys usually start? Because you said you started playing football in your sophomore year. So when would you guys start like training?
So really just the training started, it starts in the summer.
Okay.
So right after school, we have like a week break because there's like a dead period. And then after that, you go into training. So we'd have to show up to school every morning.
Every single day?
Yep. Throughout the week, except on the weekend. We showed up to the school, we'd work out, and then we'd hit the field in the heat. and then we'll start running, conditioning, stuff like that, and start working on our plays.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm sorry, that sounds awful. I mean, to me, but like to you, that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay, so, because you're Nigerian, and oftentimes there's sports that Nigerian parents are against their children playing.
Yeah.
And I think that football is definitely, or American football is definitely one of those sports. Because my brother, he wanted to play football, and my mom was just like, no, you cannot. So how did you get over that hurdle? Or did you ever have that hurdle in the first place?
No, I mean, I did have that hurdle. At first, I didn't really want to play football because my parents convinced me not to.
Right.
By watching the NFL and watching like professionals play it,
right,
they believed that it was too dangerous.
Right, it is a very physical sport.
And they was like, they really like tried to convince me and not wanted me to play at all because they knew, oh yeah, like I could get hurt.
Yeah.
And it could like mess up my future. And I did end up reaching that hurdle before I actually ended up deciding I was gonna play because my parents were against it.
Right.
And like it took like a lot of convincing throughout me and my brother, and they finally gave in and said yes.
So what did you exactly do? Like, you know how you try to convince your parents to do stuff, like you clean the house, like you do the dishes, like what did you do? Because I think that's a different like ball game, because it's like playing a sport that really involves so much physicality.
Really just like a lot of begging. I begged a lot, did a lot of work outside.
Yeah.
And like really just being consistent with the begging. Like it was like
you just gotta go for it.
Exactly. I had to keep asking.
You know what? That's on period. Okay, so when did you know, you said you started playing in sophomore year. How did you know that you wanted to take it seriously? Because I mean, you're about to be a collegiate athlete. Like this isn't like an easy feat, because I mean, you can play in high school, but then oftentimes people play football in high school and then they just stop in college because they don't want to take it all the way. When did you know you wanted to take it all the way and actually like play in college and like this is what you want to do and keep doing it?
It was like midway through my junior year, kind of like midway through the season. Mm-hmm. I just got like a feeling, really just because of Coach Smith talking to me, him telling me that he could help me bring me to the next level, and him give me the opportunity to go to college for free. Honestly, like it kind of like made me realize like, oh yeah, I could do something special, some like things that some people aren't able to do in their life. Right. And
because college is expensive. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're right. You're right. So like being able to get that opportunity to go to college for free, while being able to do stuff I love, I was like, that's what I want to do.
Why not? Right. Exactly. So I'm telling you, football to me is just such I don't understand football. I'm going to be so honest with you, because I'm like, yes, go team. Like, period. Do your thing. So, you said that you guys have to train from summer, which is so like intense in the summer heat, especially in Georgia. Georgia's hot. Are there any diets or anything that you had to follow that had like an overall impact on your lifestyle? Because it's such a sport that involves so much commitment and time and just many different aspects, even mentally.
I mean, eating right was like really important. That was like one of our food stamps, like our stamps that we kind of like made like important, especially going into this past season.
Right.
Because like everybody knows that you're not going to be able to perform if you don't eat the right food.
So what is the right food?
Well, you just need to be able to make sure you get like your grains, vegetables, and stuff like that each day. And it's like if you're eating a bunch of junk food, of course you're not going to be able to work out and last, and like you're going to burn out quickly. But like if you eat the right stuff that gives you the nutrients that you need in your body, then you're going to be able to keep going.
So what's your ideal like favorite food? Like it's really good for you in terms of playing football, but like you still enjoy it?
Really just rice and chicken. You can't ever go wrong with any sort of rice and any sort of chicken. Will get you through. Like
what kind of rice? Like rice and stew, Nigerian style, or just white rice and plain chicken?
Everything. I can eat jollof rice with jerk chicken.
Okay.
I can eat white rice.
Okay. It's giving culture.
Yeah.
So, are there any injuries that you've had so far, since it's a very injury-prone sport, or any hurt? I mean, in terms of mental hurdles. That's an injury. I think you could call that an injury, because you have to get yourself up to go play, because even in the summer, like you want to just relax and have fun, but you still have to get yourself out there. So even mentally and like physically, are there any injuries that you've had?
I mean, this past season, this past season I suffered my biggest injury probably ever.
What was it?
I dislocated my elbow.
Oh, Oh, ew, that sounds nasty. Were you playing a game or?
Yeah, it was our last regular season game. In the fourth quarter, I dislocated my elbow from somebody on our team running into the back of my elbow with their helmet.
That sounds absolutely. I'm sorry. That sounds nasty. Like how? What, did you cry? You just looked at it like.
No, I mean like I yelled for a little bit, probably for like 10 seconds. And I just started laughing because like I kind of like realized like what the situation was.
Were you mad at your teammate?
Nah, I mean like it's part of the sport. Like getting injured like that is part of the sport. So it's like, you can't really get mad at that.
Dang. So how long did it take you to recover, or was it just, did they pop it back in place, or what was the?
Well, like I popped my elbow back in place. And like I'm still not really fully recovered yet because my elbow isn't as strong as it used to be.
Oh.
So I gotta keep going to physical therapy, and then go to the gym and try to strengthen it up.
So what exercises did they have you doing in physical therapy? Like,
honestly, just like stuff that you wouldn't expect to be done in physical therapy is like what I'm doing. Like they had me like riding a bike, but like I'm moving the bike like this. They had me like playing with Play-Doh.
Oh.
Trying to like see if I could flatten it out.
Yeah.
Cause like I can't put like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Like because like.
Which one is it? Your left or right?
My right.
Oh, are you right-handed?
Right-handed.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh! So even in school, like, is it hard for you to write or?
When it first happened, yeah, I had to write everything with my left hand.
Oh.
For like 2 or 3 weeks.
So are you ambidextrous? Is that how you say that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so you got good.
Yeah, my left hand's a little bit stronger now.
Okay, that's good. Period. Okay, so what was your first offer?
My first offer was from Georgia Tech.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How many offers did you get in total?
30. Wow.
From like schools across the country, or like did you ever get any like international offers, or just?
Nah, just in the nation.
Wow, that's an amazing feat because that's not easy. So how did you get, you said Coach Smith got you into the collegiate recruitment process. So did he have like scouts come in to watch your games, or what exactly like made you get into?
Well, really just like, I think our main focus of my junior year, because that's really when it all started. He told me that my main focus of my junior year was to get as much film from like the games as possible. So play as like to my greatest level, like play to the best level. Mm-hmm. And his plan was to use the film that I had from last season, show coaches to me, like put my name out there, come back, and then hopefully whenever we came back from the break, because like how we have like December break,
yes.
So whenever we come back from January break, the coaches would come to our school.
Okay, and did they?
That's exactly what happened.
Wow. So if you had to give like a top 5 for schools that like wanted you or offers, where would you rank all of those 5 schools?
I think it just depends, because some people kind of look at it like one-sided, kind of like they look at it as like a football perspective, but at the same time you got to look at it as like a future perspective,
right? Like
what you're gonna do in the future. So like my top 5 originally, it was Georgia Tech.
It was always number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Georgia Tech, Ole Miss. I used to like Vanderbilt because the education, they have really good education.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I like the University of Indiana.
Okay.
And then
that's far.
Yeah. And then the University of Minnesota.
Okay, those two are they're very far. So like it's always been Georgia Tech for you. Do you know what you want to major in yet?
I mean, I plan, if they have like good programs in it, I plan on doing like majoring in criminal justice.
Oh, why criminal justice?
To try and become like part of the government.
Okay.
So like an FBI agent, CIA agent.
Okay.
When I'm done with football.
Okay, because I was gonna choose criminal justice as my intended major.
Yeah.
But then I decided to choose journalism because I love it. Like, you remember me in yearbook taking those pictures at you guys' games.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights, Okay, so since our school wasn't the greatest at football, no shade, I understand that you got those films, from like to send to those coaches. Yeah. So was it like, did they come up to talk to you even if we like lost games, or like was like I still don't understand how that would work, because I feel like football is more of a team sport.
Yeah.
So like how were they like really like taking you out of that lineup? Because our school, I don't know if we got better this past season and we like one more game. So like if you lost a game, would they like not want to talk to you anymore if they came to watch? Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I do. No, I mean it really just depends. And I can tell you from this past season, I had a couple coaches come to the school and watch our games. And games that we won, games that we lost. I mean, I feel like the way that they see it is that it doesn't really matter what it says on the scoreboard. It just depends on how the player could play inside in a team system.
Yeah.
So, if a player as myself can play within a system, then that's good, and that's what they're looking for. Yeah. And if he can make plays, do what he has to do his assignment, that's what they're looking for. Yeah.
So do you think you're more of a team player?
Yes, I am.
In terms of football. So were you like a captain or anything this past season? You were?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's really awesome. So like how was that for you, being a captain in your senior year? Or have you ever been a captain throughout your high school years, or was this the first year that you were a captain?
I was kind of like I'll say like a leader during the basketball season, my junior year. Yeah. And then I like this year I was more of like a captain in football. And it was like a lot. It was a very big transition. Yeah. Especially because, there's a difference between basketball and football. Like
definitely.
There's 15 players on the basketball team, and there's like 70 or 80 on the football team. Right. So it's a lot harder to try and manage, because you get put in a really big situation and like in a tough spot, because it's like you need to be able to like help lead your team, help control practices, be like a coach but not like a coach. Yeah. And
just still making sure you're like they like you because because oh my gosh. I remember like in my 10th grade year of like track, I think, where like we had like captains, but it was like, oh, this person's being too bossy or this person's being too this. So I definitely understand what you mean in terms of like not wanting to be like a coach but also being a captain at the same time. Yeah. So do you think that you've ever experienced like a big hurdle in being a captain but also still trying to be a good teammate?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like we had like problems like early in the season, kind of like with communication. Like really just I'd say like as a group, okay, like the communication was kind of off. Okay. But obviously, some people see yelling and like being loud as like a way to get their point across. Yeah. But it's like I don't really believe in that. Right. Because definitely if you're able to get your point across and everybody's listening to it, then it should always work out. Yeah. And that's what I stand by. I feel like, you should be able to get your word across just by talking naturally. You don't have to like yell and do all that other stuff, because then it comes off as like
I'm definitely a yeller, but like that's just because whenever I get passionate about issues, my voice just starts to it rises because I think that's just, growing up, Nigerians are loud. Yeah. So I am one of those loud Nigerians that's just like, why aren't you listening to me, But I definitely understand where you're coming from in like terms of communication, because in order to be effective, you have to communicate well. Right. So what stood out to you about Georgia Tech? Because you said you have these 5 schools listed as your like top 5, but you've always had Georgia Tech in number 1. What was the reason for that? Is it because it's in-state and you be close to home? Because Atlanta isn't far from, where we live. So why exactly did you choose Georgia Tech?
Well, yeah, that was one of the reasons, really just being in-state. Okay. Because I'm like a homebody. I don't really like to leave my house. Right. So I didn't like the thought of having to leave my house and go 8-9 miles away from my family. I was like, I'm gonna try and do my best, figure out a good school that's like close to home, so I can always go back to home. Yeah. Another reason that I really like Georgia Tech, they had a really good season this year. Okay. They just got a new coach, and it was like, the coach really likes me, and they want to fit me into their system early. So it was like, why not? Why do I not take this opportunity? And then lastly, really just because of the education, you got to look at it. Yeah. Like
Georgia Tech is a great school. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to look at it like for the future. A Georgia Tech degree could take you a lot of places. Definitely, yeah. And that, I feel like some people don't really think about that went through the recruitment process. Yeah. Because it's like a Georgia Tech degree trumps like a whole lot of degrees other than the Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah, definitely. So I've yet to attend a Georgia Tech game because, I go to Georgia State and it's like a 10-minute drive away. So I will definitely come watch one of your games when you start playing. So you mentioned that Georgia Tech got a new coach, and I think that's Brent Key. is the head coach.
Mm.
So there is no, you play defense?
Defensive end, yeah.
Defensive, okay. There's no defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech right now,
Well,
right?
there is one.
There is?
Yes.
Okay. Who?
Well, his name is, Mr. Coach Scherer. He's new. They had moved him because he coached something else.
Okay.
On the Georgia Tech staff.
Yeah.
And then midway through the season, they made a change. They demoted their defensive coordinator and then promoted him.
Yeah.
And that's when they started seeing success.
Okay. Because my original question was like, I mean, initially there wasn't a defensive coordinator, was there? So why, you committed despite that, though they just like promoted this guy, or was he always there throughout your recruitment process?
Well, he was in the beginning. He wasn't there.
Okay.
And like midway through it, they made that switch, and then that's when like they started seeing success. So I was like, okay, like that's good.
So that's part of your pushing factor to go to Georgia Tech was the promotion of this guy.
Yes.
Okay, so that definitely makes a lot of sense, because I mean you're confident in Brent Key as the head coach because they're seeing very good, they're having good games and a good season.
Right.
So I really hope that when you play you have a good season as well, because that seems very fun.
Thank you.
Okay, so who are your favorite professional players? Like, do you ever watch film to study any players in order to get stronger, or specific defensive players?
I mean, not really. Normally whenever I watch like the NFL, I watch the NFL kind of as like I'm playing it myself. I don't really know if that makes like a lot of sense, but it's like I kind of imagine myself playing in their position. And it kind of helps me get better because it's like I'm watching them do it.
Yeah.
And it's like I want to be able to do what they're doing.
Okay, so you specifically, when you watch NFL games, you specifically look for your position.
Yes.
And then look to see what they're doing in order to see yourself doing it.
Right.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Any favorite games?
I mean, I have a favorite team, but they're not really good this year. I like the New York Jets. Okay. Because like that's where my family's from. We're from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah. Okay, I used to live in New Jersey, actually. That sounds fun. Yeah. So have you ever seen any of their games in real life?
I mean, when I was a kid, I saw one, but other than that, no.
You haven't seen it? No. But do you still, like, when, did that play any role in, like, you wanting to play football, like, seeing people play around you, or did you just really have a passion for the sport when you started playing?
I mean, it was really when I started playing. I remember, like, as a kid, watching, like, the NFL. It was fun watching the NFL. I thought it was really fun, but it was, like, something in my mind telling me that it was something I'd never do. Yeah. But like, look where I'm at now.
So which sport did you play longer, football or basketball?
I've played basketball for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you still didn't choose basketball?
Yeah.
Because I remember in high school, like, it was so much fun watching you play. So it was like, that's really crazy to me that, like, within, I guess, 3 years, you decided to choose football over a sport that you'd been playing, like basketball. So, like, why not basketball? Was it just, like, did you not enjoy the fact that it wasn't such a big team compared to football, or like?
No, I mean, I felt like, I was kind of looking at it in, like, the future standpoint, obviously, because that's what it's really all about. Okay. It's like, what is going to take me to the next level? And where do I have the highest chance to make it to the next level? Okay. So I was like, I kind of envisioned that when I first made my decision, I was going to focus more on football. Yeah. And I was like, playing football, I'm going to have a higher chance of going to the next level, which is college. And going to college for football can help me get to the NFL, which is my original goal.
So you want to play in the NFL? Yes. Wow, that is a very big goal, and I truly hope you achieve it. Basketball is less injury prone, I think, than football. Yeah. So, I mean, when you say the next level, like, did you ever, like, consider any of these injuries that you might experience along the way in playing? I mean, yeah, I knew in my head, especially while I was, like, getting to know football. Yeah. I knew that it was going to, as I get older, it's going to get more and more physical. And like I weighed that out with my decision about which route I want to take for college, and like I was like in my head I was like the injuries is gonna come with it, and that's something I'm gonna have to deal with. Yeah, definitely. So just ending off this episode, is there any advice to any Nigerian that would want to take football seriously in order to take it further rather than playing leisurely? What advice would you give them despite their parents, pushing back against them not playing football, or just like, you're not playing professionally, like, because I feel like a lot of times people can be very discouraging to you about like playing these sports. Before I ask that question, did you ever feel any discouragement in playing like football at all, or was it always just excitement, highs, because you always, you definitely experience some lows before you experience these highs, right? So any discouragement that you've ever felt, or what was your lowest low before you experienced your highest high?
Honestly, it was really just like when I first started playing football. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, my parents did not want me to play football at all, and they were very worried and they were very negative about football,
definitely,
until I started becoming successful, and they was like, we're going to help you get to the next level. We're going to help you make this decision. And they finally started believing in me. That's when I really believed I was at my low, because it seemed like they didn't believe in me.
Right.
Until, they saw that it could be a way out.
Something great for you. Okay, so what would your advice be to people, experiencing these lows that you're in, not being that great in the beginning, and then finally seeing progress, but then their parents are still pushing up against them?
Really, the first thing really is to obviously fight your parents.
Right.
You, especially as a Nigerian boy, you got to be able to prove your parents wrong sometimes, because they're not going to really realize until you show them and you prove them wrong. Yeah. And that's how I kind of felt throughout the early process of me playing football, because my whole goal was to prove my parents wrong.
Exactly. So that was a really big driving factor in being successful.
Yes.
Okay. So, any overall advice to anyone that wants to start the recruitment process? So I really still don't understand the steps. Is it just like send in film and then they come watch you, then they send in an offer? Like, what does that process look like?
Well, it's like, I feel like it looks very simple to like a regular person's eye. Yeah. But in the back, it's not really as simple as it looks.
So can you give us an insider's view on like what this process was like?
All right, so I'll describe it to you when I first received my first offer. So obviously, you got to get your film and stuff like that. Yeah. And during the off season of football, coaches, whenever they receive your name and they start realizing who you are, they're gonna figure out ways to come see you. They're gonna come look at you in person, because first, they want to make sure you pass the eye test, because everybody could be good at football. Yeah. But the question is, can you pass the eye test?
What's the eye test?
The eye test is when they look at your character. Okay. They look at you as a person. Oh, okay. So whenever I first started getting recruited, the coaches would go to the school and start asking teachers, oh yeah, how is so-and-so? How is Uche in class? Oh. They would ask Miss Walls. They would ask the counselors. They would ask people to try and figure out, oh yeah, is this person a good student? Yeah. So,
I did not even know that existed. Like, I wouldn't think they would because why are they need to know about your character in order for you to be a good player on their team, for sure. Right. Okay.
Because they don't really they don't want somebody that can't be a team player. Yeah, definitely. Which is why they ask those questions. They're going to ask the coaches. They would ask all the coaches and try and figure out, oh yeah, is he a good player? Is he somebody that could lead? Is he somebody that, stuff like that. And right after, if you pass the eye test, they'll talk to you. They'll go watch your film you from the past season, and then kind of with all that, they'll kind of make the decision. Okay. And that's how it kind of was for me. Whenever Georgia Tech came to our school for the first time, they talked to my counselor. They talked to some of my teachers. Okay. They talked to Coach Smith, trying to figure out, oh yeah, is this guy,
a team player, right? To, be a good player on our team, yeah.
And that's when they came to the decision to offer me.
Okay, so what did that offer look like? Was it an email? Did they mail a letter to your house? Like, what does that look like?
So, before you even sign, that's why they have 2 different periods. Okay. You receive verbal offers. So it's like they verbally tell you, oh yeah, we have a scholarship for you. Okay. Like a full ride scholarship. Okay. So they would call me and tell me, oh yeah, we'd like to offer you a full ride scholarship to our school. So if you take that scholarship, you have to wait until you sign. So you don't really receive the scholarship until you sign. Okay. So once you sign, you're on. So they give you a scholarship for each year. Okay. And after your first year, if you plan on staying, they're going to give you a scholarship for the next couple of years. Okay. So that you could always, so that you don't have to worry about signing each year. Yeah. So you just sign for the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And then move on.
So did you visit any other schools other than Tech or?
I mean, I went to a couple. I went to Virginia. I visited Virginia. I visited, I went to Georgia Southern. I went to Vanderbilt. There was one more. I went to Georgia Tech. There was one more. I went to one more visit, but I used to go to. I visited Georgia Tech a lot.
Yeah.
Because they wanted me to be up there and be used to it, especially because it's so close.
Exactly.
I think me being able to go up there so much kind of helped.
Was a drawing factor in picking their school.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really awesome. I really love it. But what was I going to ask? I had one more question. Oh my gosh, I literally cannot think of what I was gonna. It was something about your the eye test.
Are you talking about how they talk to my teachers?
Yeah, was that awkward for you?
Yeah, I mean, at first when I first found out, because I didn't really know until a couple months after.
Yeah.
They didn't none of our coaches told me until a couple months after about how they would talk to my teachers and stuff like that. I thought that was very awkward because it was now I gotta start focusing in school and make
right, because you gotta lock in.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, did you get a full ride scholarship to Tech? Everything is paid for?
Mm-hmm.
Board, room, food?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because going to college is expensive, so you don't even need to worry about that. I heard that the dining hall at Tech is usually very good during the week, but during the weekend you're gonna need to buckle up or something. Get yourself a couple of snacks, because I heard it's terrible. But that's how our dining hall too is. During the weekends, I'm telling you, the food is absolute trash. It's they just close their eyes and they just pick whatever they want and they just put it out there and they're like, okay guys, eat. I'm like, oh, this is what we're working with. I'm starting to get into my active era too, so don't worry, I'll be right up there with you. But thank you so much for coming to letting me interview you, because this is really amazing and I'm so proud of you.
Of course.
For putting yourself out there and really getting into a sport you love. So thank you so much.